Today evening, uh, Brainberg Knowledge Solutions Private Limited, Pune, India, and Clarion Group from Oman have come up with this very fantastic idea to uh, get along with this very essential and close to the heart topic of understanding various aspects of your mental health. And these aspects of your mental health prove to be very instrumental in not only in the challenging times, but in the times when you're doing good. It is because these aspects, these constructs of your mental health are maintained well. So me, Dr. Vishal Sangale, who happens to be a psychologist, and my colleague who is Dr. Ruta Sawarkar, a pediatrician and a psychology expert, who's the founder of Brainberg, have come up with you to spend another 1 hour this evening enjoying the nitty-gritties of how we can deal with our existing challenges that this pandemic has brought up, the lockdown and related things, but also getting to the bottom of the subject and understanding how well we can do with most of our day-to-day routines, and how we can regulate and how we can channelize, understand ourselves better. So never wasting more time. So Ranjani, there are like 15 participants who are there in the program as of now. And I suppose it's 8 past 7, and we must not further delay it. A quick hygiene checkup. I will be answering most of your questions. If you can please post your questions in the question and answer box, which is provided on your screen. Any challenges regarding the broadcast, we will be able to answer or maybe resolve things if you can send us a chat on the chat box. Great.
So particularly this is a mental well-being part, but definitely it is interlinked with the physical well-being as well. So the interconnections between mind and body, the stress, anxiety and depression, these are the challenges, and the solutions are the mental well-being characteristics which the test you have given. So this is a beautiful journey to understand ourselves. So this test is not for others. This is the investigation to know ourselves, what we are facing, what we are dealing, and how to overcome the challenges are there. So welcome all.
Welcome all.
Namaskar.
So we go to the first slide of the presentation. I'm gonna dive deep into the aspects relating to emotional intelligence first. And from here, you can pick up and connect the dots while we end up at the last slide. And thereupon, you'll be able to also see that things are pretty clear from the perspective of self-help and how to channelize your emotions. So as far as the things relating to yes, sir, you can definitely go along with the test later. No problem. I will definitely send you the test link. So as far as the components of emotional intelligence are concerned, you would find that emotional intelligence is one of the foremost, considered to be one of the foremost directors or drivers of your excellence, whether it is your academic excellence or your professional excellence. And this has been over and out proved by a lot of research gone into the subject for decades now. The components of emotional intelligence, one is about knowing yourself, what you are, who you are, what are your emotions, what are your thoughts. You and everybody should understand, and if you don't, then a little bit of literacy is needed in that subject. Why I'm saying this is because generally speaking, this component of self-awareness begets most of your components related to the emotional intelligence. So knowing and understanding yourself is one of the foremost and fundamental aspects of emotional intelligence. And what do we need to understand for that matter is, one, your feelings, your emotions, the bhava part of it, I would say bhavana part of it. And the second part that you've understand is the cognition, the thought part of it. How and what you think, what is your thought process, what are the thoughts that are coming to you. So these are the two main components of self-awareness. You must note it down. The second thing that comes into the constructs of emotional intelligence is self-motivation. How I drive myself. How do I initiate? How do I make sure that my vehicle is going through a thrust in achieving my goals? Now that aspect is internal. It is intrinsic. It is very internal to you in the sense there is also an extrinsic motivation factor, which is your incentives, your job, your position, your salary, and all those things. But these dwindle down. The extrinsic motivation may dwindle down as far as the source is extinguished. But the important thing that keeps you moving, that keeps you driving, is your self-motivation, and that is where you need to keep your self-motivation intact. We'll understand that thing in a deeper context when we go further. The third thing is self-regulation. Self-regulation is again regulating your own self, and what you have to regulate is again your thoughts and emotions. Thoughts, when you're aware what thought comes to you, what emotions have come to you, once you're aware, the next thing that you best have to do is regulate them or channelize them or take them in a particular direction. If you're not doing that, thoughts come with a high propensity. They have got an intensity and frequency to come into your brains. And I can definitely assure you, there are a lot of theories of frequency of thoughts coming in. We don't dwell upon it, but interestingly, the preponderance of the thought is very huge. I mean, the quantum that you're looking at is very huge. You need to reach and channelize these things so that you don't land up into the negative consequences of high and maybe overthinking that people call usually as anxiety, as challenges relating to, like, not able to channelize your own thought process and going into a negative thought pattern. So that is regulation of your thought. And same way, emotions. We're going to dwell on the emotional part. You see a very good screen in front of you, and on that screen you see a very good brain. And this reflection of your brain on the screen will give you an insight into the two prominent parts of your brain. One is in the middle of your brain, and that is your amygdala. You call it as amygdala. So amygdala is, amygdala is the part of your limbic system. It is one of the most primitive parts of human, existence. Since the evolution, we believe the evolutionary theory, most people don't, but let's understand from that perspective. If you believe the evolutionary process of humans, this part of your brain has been one of the most primitively developed. So when this is one of the primitive things, hence it has got a property, a function that is relating to threat perception. Do you understand why? The reason is, early hunters, humans were, hunters earlier, and they used to go along with hunting for carry on with their life. And in that context, everything around was a threat for them. As they were hunters, they were also be preyed upon by certain other, maybe animals or maybe predators. In that case, they were always in a threat perception. So this part of the brain is always perceiving threat. But the times have changed. We have grown, we have evolved, and we are in one of the most, we are in the most, what you can say, one of the best times of human histories. This time that we are living in, I'm not saying the pandemic, but the times that we are into, we've got immense resources around us. Not planning well, that's a different part. But we have got immense resources. Humans have come to a very affluent, times. Although this is an affluent time, half of the world is sleeping hungry. So let's understand, if that is the change scenario, what threat do we have now? Amygdala now perceives a small, thing also coming as threat. For example, if you are maybe humiliated, for example, you're not giving your appreciation, you're not given your due, you are actually scolded, you are thrown out of your office, you're not invited to the meetings, you're kept out of your social circle, you're not given importance, you are always, in a state of forsaken, you're kept away, and these things are taken as threat by amygdala.
Self-esteem or your astitva, if it is threatened, again it perceives as a
Absolutely.
to your
Absolutely. And what comes up with this threat perception is of strength. What comes up is fear. When fear comes up, there are three responses. What are these three classical responses? One, fight. Second, flight. Third, freeze. What happens with fight is you engage with the enemy. With flight, with the fight. With flight, you run away. With freeze, you are stunned. You are there. All these three responses are very, very reactive. They're not thoughtful responses. Now, to have a very thoughtful response, which is not overshadowed by any of the emotions like fear. Amygdala, by the way, not only elicits fear, it also creates certain other very critical emotional patterns. But let's concentrate on the fear as of now. What happens with this fear coming up is you give away an unthoughtful response. You do not comprehend the thing well. Your entire cognitive element is taken away and the emotional response is given away. That is under the influence of emotions. But to channelize this machinery of amygdala, nature has given us a very important and very strong component, which is at the front of your brain, this part of your brain, the forehead, behind it, you'll find a prefrontal cortex. This is one of the most sophisticated, developed areas in our brain, which has got very high order of cognitive functions. These functions relate to what? They relate to working memory, they relate to planning, they relate to execution, they relate to some of the aspects relating to what you can say judgment, right or wrong, this is deciding things. All these things are very high order cortical functions. And by that virtue, it has a very strong, regulatory authority over amygdala, provided you strengthen it, provided you use it.
Actually,
how most of us fail to use this part of our prefrontal cortex.
Sometimes we don't know only. Okay, amygdala is making us unstable because of misperception, and prefrontal cortex is there to stabilize this misunderstanding and clear the things. To understand.
Yes. Now, what happens with this is if you're not using your prefrontal cortex, if you're not using your PFC, you may land up into some kind of emotional outbursts. Typically, these are anger outbursts or say fear outbursts or panic attacks or whatever you can say, the negative form of emotions. PFC is there to regulate all these things, and there is a very strong circuitry which is involved into this, the prefrontal cortex circuitry. Now, how do we strengthen it? Good question. How do we strengthen it? There are two best allies of your PFC. Two best allies. These are one of the fundamental things you must understand. These friends of PFC are one, oxygen.
Actually.
You heard it right. Yes, it's oxygen. The prana vayu that we take in and we breathe in and we breathe out the carbon dioxide. But the oxygen that we take in is one of the formidable allies of prefrontal cortex. These prefrontal cortex has the second ally, and that is in the form of labeling of emotions. It continues and carries on with the function of labeling of emotion. What is happening? Why are you feeling such? What is the feeling? That is what the PFC does. Now, if you do these two things, I'm going to tell you how you're going to do this first thing, the oxygenation thing. Your body does it naturally, but to have it enhanced, we're going to come to that part of it, maybe at the management part. But yes, oxygen regulation is one of the prominent and fundamental ally of prefrontal cortex.
Vishal has explained that amygdala functioning and PFC functioning, it was a bit complicated, beautiful words and with depth and all that. And we are now telling you a very simple solution. Now, human tendency is, oh, I have understood this. This is so deep. And you are giving us very simple solution that you are just asking us to breathe in properly. And we are just requesting you to tag your emotion. Whatever emotion it is bothering you, you shouldn't neglect that. Unacceptance is the first negative step or reverse. So even though these solutions are simple, they are most powerful. Believe me, the simple things are more powerful than the complicated and complex ones. But first and foremost is awareness. Second is acceptance. You
Absolutely.
have to accept that yes, your breathing pattern can actually strengthen your PFC and control your amygdala from misjudgment, miscalculations, and some abnormal responses.
Absolutely.
So this is life saving.
So when you've understood this mechanism, this interplay of amygdala and your prefrontal cortex, let's ponder upon certain second concept, which is again close to your performance, and most of you are working class. So I would encourage you to also understand the aspect relating to your brain activity and your performance, because you are all worried about what will happen to me if I don't perform. First thing. Second, there's a performance anxiety always in the office, in your work. So let's understand with a deeper context. So as you see this whole interplay happening in your brain, there is a second. So our mind is connected to our body through two systems. One, nervous system. The nerves and the brain and the spinal cord connects our mind to our brain, to our body. The second system that connects our emotions or your mind to your body is your endocrine system.
Your hormones.
Your hormones are, they come into system and they convey the emotions. Let me give you some examples, like the hormone like oxytocin, which is typically in, colloquial language called care hormone. We touch someone, there's a secretion of oxytocin in your body.
Beautiful example is of mother
and child. A child holds the baby.
Mother holds the child.
Mother holds the child and she feels the surge. Yeah, absolutely. She feels a surge of love, and that is due to the care and things that comes. This is one of the important things. The second I can talk about is when you are into aggression. Aggression is, what happens in your body is the levels of cortisol, the levels of androgenic hormones like corticosteroids, or maybe for that matter cortisols, go up. Cortisol, as we are discussing in this graphical presentation as well, is secreted by your adrenal gland, which is sitting on the top of your kidneys. Both the kidneys are sitting on the top. They are like a cap-shaped glands, adrenal glands. And cortisol even is also responsible for your normal performance. Try to understand. Let me give an example. A match happening, a cricket match happening between two countries, and your favorite player is playing the game, and it's in the last over. Say MS Dhoni is playing the game. He's in the last over. He's chasing the game. The target is very close to it. He's about to win, and you're unsure like what will happen in the last over. All of a sudden, you are excited. All of a sudden, you find you are as if you are on the pitch and you are about to hit the six. This is excitement leads to what? Secretion of a lot of corticosteroids and adrenaline in your system, which is exciting you. And this also is responsible for a student when he's studying, is to stay awake for the entire night and sustain the stress, endure the stress of staying awake and perform the next day in the examination. Then also adrenaline and cortisol works. So this is one of the important aspects of your cortisol levels, which are into power play. Okay, so now let's understand from the graph. If the cortisol level is plotted on x-axis and the performance is plotted on the y-axis, see the x-y axis thing. Now see if your performance is high, to be high, your cortisol level should be optimal. They should not go very high. When they go very high, your performance dramatically comes down and you land up into stress. Do you see this? This is no brain activity triggers the secretion of cortisol in your body. But the perception of threat, as you see, a perception of things that you do around creates a kind of state in your body which is responsible for secretion of some hormones or neurotransmitters in your body. And then if say for example cortisol goes up, you're landing into some kind of stress, your performance comes down. Now if there is no activity, like you are idle, you're not doing anything, These also leads to lower level of cortisol. You'll end up into boredom. So, and eustress is necessary, a normal stress is necessary to perform. See, with your lungs, see, when you breathe in, there is a partial pressure of oxygen created, and hence you can breathe in. When you exhale, this same pressure is exerted and you breathe out. This exchange of gases happens because there is some pressure created. While you walk, you have to exert a pressure on ground so that you can propel yourself further. Normally, we don't recognize this, but these are normally called as stresses that are required. So this is the theory behind this. Let's go further quickly.
So it's like amygdala is threatened sometimes.
Yes.
You have given some project in your office and your higher authority is saying, I need this work done within 2 days. And your team is saying, oh, we can't complete it within 2 days, we need 4. So there is a eustress because you have a confidence that you can do it within 2 days. So this is optimal stress which is pushing you. But if you are not confident or if you are not getting adapted to that part, you may land up into the stress. And if it is chronic, then this chronic stress leads to some physical parts.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that in a bit. So the next thing is relating to your social brain. We talked about the relationship management in the emotional intelligence. So this circuitry that goes around in your brain, it's not only for yourself. You gel with some person. Studies carried out at some of the universities in UK and US, maybe in also India, at the NIMHANS has been able to showcase the connection of two human brains. And this is through the fMRI technique, and a particular form of MRI technique, which we can plot the activation of certain areas of the brain when people are interconnected, or maybe in a conversation, when in a dialogue. So interestingly, this connection, social circuitry, as we call as, or maybe social brain, we relate to each other. We understand the other person's not only by understanding the emotions and physical aspects, but there is a chemistry or maybe a circuitry that is played out. You must understand why it is necessary. Because emotional intelligence, as I said, or maybe we as humans have not been programmed to live alone.
We are social.
We're social. And
social animals, should we
social
say?
beings.
Beings is
Social
better.
beings. And in that context, we always deal with people. How many of whatever the number is, maybe your family, your friends, your colleagues, your subordinates, your seniors, your executives, whoever they are, you are dealing with people, essentially.
It is always a teamwork.
Yes. And in that context, you relate to people, you understand or don't understand, whatever is the condition, but you relate to people some other way. And that is the social brain circuitry that comes up.
Can we give one very cute example of
yawning? Okay, let's what
human.
happens is, I'll tell you how it is biologically connected. Have you seen ever, like, if you yawn, you have a yawn, and the person sitting next to you also yawns without any cause?
The person who is yawning actually needs a bit more oxygen. His neurons need more oxygen, so that's why that person is yawning. But the person sitting in front, his brain doesn't require more oxygen.
Maybe not a possibility. And eventually what happens is, there's a chain of reaction that is set up. People start yawning in the circle that they are. Maybe one or two or three people, you'll find that dramatically see that this yawning has started. This is because you imitate the other person. You imitate, and this imitation happens through a lot of certain other circuitries present in your brain. It happens also while you are dealing with people. You resemble, you actually, if you start understanding the people, get connected, you start imitating that person, how he laughs, how he walks, how he or she behaves. This all imitation comes with adaptation, and this social circuitry is built.
So that's why the leader who is actually leading the team should have the positive adaptability, because if the leader is having positive adaptability because of the social brain or because of the empathetic connectivity, his team members will actually getting adapted to his positivity. So this is most important, physical as well as mental well-being.
So now, when we've understood the constructs of mind, some of the constructs of how emotional intelligence is played out in our day-to-day things, let's hop on to some of the biological facts and then come back again to the management part of it. We're gonna show you next a small video of look at the video patiently, ponder upon it. Don't again get affected by the jargons. We are here to help you out.
Oh,
Okay.
this is actually a simple internal viewing part of our blood vessel. And blood vessels, they are actually spread all over on all our body system.
Just a minute. Just a
Yes.
minute. I'm not able to. Yeah. Confirm me if you can hear the audio of the things. Please, someone can you confirm? Just a minute. Yes, fantastic. We are audible. Something broke down.
It's okay. So
We'll do it. We'll do it.
this video is actually to understand interconnection between physical and mind.
In a first step towards clot formation, platelets are recruited to the site of vessel injury by now exposed molecules of the vessel wall, such as collagen and von Willebrand factor. This factor mediates the linking of platelets to collagen via a specific receptor in the platelet membrane. The resulting change of shape of the platelet from its resting state into the dendritic form indicates activation. The activated platelet in turn releases prothrombotic molecules such as adenosine diphosphate, ADP. By binding to its receptors, ADP induces aggregation. And recruits further platelets to the site. Thromboxane is another important mediator of platelet activation and aggregation. Under its influence, the platelets cross-link with each other. These interlocking mechanisms cause platelet activation to snowball. The clot grows rapidly. Activated platelets also trigger the coagulation cascade and thus the formation of thrombin. Thrombin, in turn, stimulates platelet activation even further, a continuous feedback loop. Additionally, thrombin induces the formation of fibrin for the mesh stabilizing the clot. The self-reinforcing process of platelet activation, crucial in the formation of blood clots, is an obvious therapeutic target in conditions caused by inappropriately triggered blood coagulation.
So when we have seen this internal microscopic part, now if we are facing some accident, some vascular injury, so intima of the capillary or any blood vessel, any artery or vein, when get injured, so this formation of a clot is a life-saving process. But when you are continuously under stress for more than 3 months, what happens? Your blood pH actually changes from alkalinity towards acidity. This acidic pH leads to vascular injury. You have seen what has triggered that clot formation was vascular injury. So chronic stress leads to this damage, and actually our body is reacting as a life-saving process to form the clot. But ultimately what is happening? If the same blood vessel is supplying your cardiac muscles, if the blood vessel who is getting high acidic pH and getting injured, which is supplying your kidneys, your brain, so this vascular damage, which is blood supplying to your very essential organs, and if there is a clot formation, thrombus formation, these are actually problematic in our physical parts. Like angina, some heart attack, hypertension, These things, why they are happening? This is because constant or chronic stress leading to changes in our own life-saving systems. This is a misjudgment. So usually we say that diabetes and hypertension, these two, the etiological factors, it may be hereditary, it may be because of constant stress. But why this is happening, we should understand. We have just seen that vascular injury because of constant stress may lead to thrombus formation and dislodgement of this thrombus. If it happens, which is supplying to your brain, so there is a blockage and there will be the hypoxia to that certain part. So understand this interlinking between our gross body and our subtle body. So Vishal has explained that our hormones, our central nervous system, our peripheral nervous system and our autonomous nervous system, they are actually regulating all our organs. So very simply understand the gross body. We have 5 organs of senses, which are called as Jnanendriya, and 5 organs of actions, which are called as Karmendriya. So these are regulated actually by our subtle body, which is called as Mana or Antakaran Panchaka. So whenever you are leading into constant stress or depression or anxiety, these lead to change in your pH system of your body. Sometimes if you just know that you are having hereditary part, that your grandfather or uncle is having diabetes, you are just accepting that maybe I am prone for diabetes. No, your pancreas is healthy. Islets of Langerhans, they are secreting the insulin. But what happens secondary to your stress, secondary to your anxiety, secondary to your depression or negative emotions, you develop the insulin resistance, which is absolutely because your mental well-being is not taken care by yourself. So this is injustice. And why this is happening? Maybe because of you are unaware. So very simple, if you take care of your mental well-being, if you take care of your lifestyle, if you take care of your balanced diet and proper activities and exercise, then yes, your mental well-being takes care of your physical well-being. And even though if you are suffering from some physical disorders, yes, if you control your mental well-being, your physical problem, disease or disorder, even the malignancies can be treated. Morbidity and mortality can be controlled with a complete care of your mental well-being.
So in this case, we jump up to our report.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you in quick succession before we roll on to the further aspects of the session. I would want you to ponder. Most of you must have done your report assessment. Those who have not done will be able to do the assessment. You just have to send us that things relating to your name and your email ID. Will drop a assessment link. So in front of you see a sample report. This sample report, hope the screen is visible. Yes. Great. I've got a confirmation again. Yes, the screen is visible. Great. Now see, you see a sample report in front of you, and the report has got certain very important things that is reflected. Most of you must have done this assessment and downloaded the report. You can reach out to your report and see for yourself what you're talking. So one section talks about your demographic details, your gender, occupation, age, country, and education. These are the benchmarking norms or the group used for forming a cohort. Cohort is a people with similar characteristics. You also find your response style, that is whether you have responded genuine or not, on the right hand side in the test detail section. Below it, you'll find your strengths and the training areas required. These scores are on a 10-point scale, and we evaluated 4 factors in this. This is a short summary report that is provided to you. One trait talks about for example, I'm going to ponder a little bit on all the traits. First is the emotional stability. Emotional stability, as I said, we talked about the emotional regulation. In that context, you see, if you're able to control and channelize your emotions and thoughts, you attain a state of emotional stability. And maybe emotional stability leads to one of the...
Actually, it's simple. If you are emotionally stable, then you may not land up into the stress for chronic part.
Yes. So that is fundamental to it. The next trait that we look into this is adaptability. Adaptability is ability to adapt to changing environment and changing scenarios, which is internal and external both. Now, see, the COVID times, the pandemic has, suddenly grappled the entire globe, and we are into a certain lockdown. Jobs are threatened, people are threatened for their lives, and their mortality is growing. You're still not able to have a very good control over it. Are we able to sustain and adapt to the changing environment? And I say, you don't have to see that you make the virus a part, the disease a part of your life. No, that is not the condition. But definitely there can be a very strong objective behind making sure that you're adapting to the new normal. We say people are adapting to the new normal in terms of online training, online classes, online meetings, and everything. Similarly, your body or your mind has to accept certain things, and that leads to certain part of adaptability.
It's simple. You can't change your surrounding. You can't control your surrounding or the atmosphere.
You can control,
but you can control your inner atmosphere.
Yes.
And this is adaptability. Even our gross body has that adaptability capacity, which is called as homeostasis. If you are shifting from warm atmosphere to cold atmosphere, you will have the shivering, because contractions of your muscles will generate the heat, and that will supply blood supply to the most essential organs.
Yeah.
So this is homeostasis.
Mahfouz has raised his hand. Do you want to say anything, Mahfouz? Can you just put it on the chat box? If there's interesting thing that we can you have to share, or we need to put some light on. Okay, you may post your question into the question answer box, or maybe, yeah. No, he's raised his hand. Okay. So we move on to the next thing, and that is positive affectivity. Positive affectivity is your disposition towards looking to the positive aspect to things. So you cannot have that thoughtless mind. You always will have thoughts. The important thing is thought is not a scalar quantity. Okay, it's a vector quantity. It has got direction, it has got magnitude. In that scenario, you see, if only you build the intensity of the thought or the magnitude of the thought, you are not sure which direction it is going, positive or negative. Here we are looking at whether your thought process leads to, or your emotions lead to a positive way, an effect which is leading to a positive direction. This can be very much be developed, and it needs to be developed in the times when we have to nurture optimism and hope, or maybe at times when we are having challenging things happening around us. So positive affectivity has to be there. In the words of Rabindranath Tagore, it is said very effectively that it's like hope is a bird which sings when the night when the night is still dark. In the early dawn, when the night is still dark, birds start chirping with a hope, with a conviction, not a hope actually. It is convinced that there will be sunrise. So this is positive affectivity.
And positive affectivity actually is a preventive and curative medicine. This is the mental well-being, very important part, which actually helps us to restore our physical health as well.
And the last thing in this report is resilience. Resilience is the ability to rise from the challenges. It's the ability to come back from the downfall. It's the ability to push yourself up when there is a lot of resistance that is coming to you. And that ability of resilience is applicable all over in a profession, in your personal life. But this is a resilient mind that we need to have. We have to have a resilient mind to be able to come out of this devastating things that has happened to you. And in that context, if all these things are very okay for you, or you're good at it, or maybe some things may be okay, some things might need improvement, we give you a general impression whether your profile looks good or bad in terms of general impression, and that is a success profile, how far you'll be able to sustain the state of continue with the state of this well-being. So that is the success profile. This is one report. And the second report I may want to share. Tell me if you can see the screen again. The second report is of the stand report. Hope you are able to see the stand report.
So this is actually like a investigation, if you are suffering from tiredness and
Okay.
if you are feeling a bit depressed and lonely, it may be simple hemoglobin part. It may be a mild anemia, which is leading to these symptoms. So if you just go for an investigation and understand that your hemoglobin is say 9 or something, so you can understand that you have to take iron, vitamin B and vitamin C, say for 3 months. And you shouldn't exert your body for say like for 1 month. So these are the investigations which help us to assess ourselves, our physical part, and the duration of a treatment. Same way, this stand test is like an investigation. This is not acceptance or non-acceptance or rejection. This is simply understanding, okay, I'm a bit stressed, okay, there may be this part of anxiety that I'm dealing with now. This is nothing like that females are prone for sadness and males are not. No, this is simple. We are humans. And this is a natural human tendency to feel sad. Because being sensitive is a human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like a stone.
So we look at the report, you'll also find the similar demographic details, and then you'll find the stand parameters mentioned here, whether you're stressed, anxious, or sad. A level beyond certain score like 7 will indicate that you'll definitely need, will need to seek help, and the scores below it, like for example, in this case, if you find this report, some of the parameter, one of the parameters is normal, other is moderate. Moderate is like, it does not have to do with seeking help, but you need to pay attention to yourself. You may want to have a little bit more time spent with you. You will want to have given you certain chance to do things if you mistake, and all these things again lead up to your positive mental health, and there you can see your well-being report correlated to this. So this is how the report plays out. We may quickly shift up to our presentation again, and then quickly go to the management part, because we are already 7:50 I suppose, and in the next 10 or 15 minutes we'll be closing. I'll also invite certain questions if you have.
So we understood about the gross body and subtle body, mind and...
So the well-being essentially constitutes your physical health, your emotional health, your family health, and your societal health. All these health are interrelated, and one triggers the imbalance into other. So we've understood certain aspects of physical health, we've understood certain aspect of emotional health. Family is an integral part of your coexistence, leads to, because you're relating to people, or maybe society for that matter, they also have a positive or negative impact on your being. You being able to relate to them positively in a very positive sense will lead to change in your environment as well. And that has to be taken into consideration. A single change, if you find the change coming to you, it proportionally will be communicated to your family members or society, provided you sustain and continue with your effort to stay in a state of well-being. It's a communicable thing.
Simple. Family is really an important part. If you are feeling stressed, if you are anxious, and if you share these things with your near and dear ones, your relatives or your friend, so your positive adaptability enhances, your emotional stability enhances. This is external motivation, you can say.
Family and maybe society are relating to the external factors, but they definitely are related to your own self. So we come to how to overcome certain behavioral challenges, and we give you certain very intricate and basic things to do that, along with one of the techniques at the end, how you do with your emotional intelligence development. So behavioral challenges necessarily need not need only carrot and stick approach. No, that is not the way always it happens. The reward and punishment psychology has a limited scope in changing the behavior. One of the important factors that has a fundamental role to play in this functionary is your love and care. You can change the behavior of yourself, of people around you, or maybe with if you find that the challenges occur in the family, or maybe with yourself, one thing that you ensure is love and care has to be maintained.
Simple. Actually, human being wants one thing, that I should be happy. I should be feeling the satisfaction. Sometimes they actually seek bliss also. But if we want to be happy or stable and healthy and blissful, then the first mantra is to give. If you give unconditional love, if you give care to others, naturally you will get the satisfaction. And simply the satisfaction boosts your immunity and your vitality. So you are gaining by giving. It's very simple treatment of anxiety and depression. During phase of depression, if you care for others, irrespective of just taking negative thought process and intermingling with those things and forming that cycle again and again, if you care for others, even for animals or other human being, you can come out of your depression as early as possible. Dealing with the anxiety also, very simple positive communication. So if you have a positive communication with your kids, with the nature, you come out of your anxiety very fast.
The second thing is, the second important thing is, see, is essentially we're living in a times where we don't believe that giving something will essentially come to us in return. And I don't know whether, people immensely trust or have a faith in this dictum, what's good, what goes around or comes around. But that is a fundamental to human development. If you give things, things come to you. In that context, respect and gratitude are one of the fundamental things, that you must always be giving. Gratitude is paying tribute or paying your thankfulness to someone, or always showing some kind of gratefulness to the things around you. It's not necessarily people. It can be like anything. I can tell you, it can be a small, when you wake up in the morning, you may want to see the light of the day and say, wow, I'm thankful that I'm able to see the light of the day, and that is wonderful to my existence. You may want to see your son, your kid, your daughter, and say, wow, I'm blessed with this wonderful gift of God. You may want to go to your office, talk to your colleagues and say, this is a wonderful thing that is happening to me. Even the smallest deed will lead you to more. And this, what will happen with this is the scarcity of mind. The scarcity, what is scarcity is always been a state of perpetual anxiety that I am being taken of something is taken out of me, a fear that lingers in your mind that I'm always being criticized, or I am always targeted. Something will be, your complaining mode will go away with gratitude, and you'll see positive things around you. So being grateful, such a small thing, will lead you to that.
I will give a simple example. If you're having headache, what you need, I just want to go to my office and I have so much work to do. I can't afford time to rest. So you just take some painkiller, okay? And your headache is gone. So this is the instant cure. But if you are having frequent headaches every week or every month, so you have to understand what is the root cause, and you have to treat the root cause. Maybe some stress or anxiety or insomnia is leading or triggering your migraine, or it is just simple vasoconstricted headache. So patience and understanding the root cause and treating the root cause, it may be a long-term goal, but it is essential and it is sure shot. So we are coming to the short-term goals and long-term goals of our life. So short-term goals may be dealing with your own physical and mental well-being, but long-term goals is dealing with or caring about your family health and your society health. This is by giving to strengthen your personality per se, your ethicals and moral values. So this is your long-term goal, which cures your negative disposition and it enhances your positive adaptability. Fantastic. So these are the long-term goals and long-term treatments, but they are sure shots.
In a quick succession, we'll just give away one fundamental technique, and then we'll open up for the question and answers, if any. In developing emotional intelligence, creating the environment around you, cultivating a connection and empathetic thing with your peers and with your people around you, that is fundamental. But what is the real thing that you can take away from this webinar again is creating an awareness of a gap between stimulus and response. And that thing is relating to, as I said earlier, with one of the allies of your prefrontal cortex, and that is oxygen. Proper regulation of oxygen in your brain may lead to us, creating this. And in a simple term, we will call this as maturity. So let's understand the technique. Let's do it.
It's very simple. You have to inhale from your left nostril first, but while inhaling from left nostril, you are closing your right nostril. Breathe in from left nostril, then for few seconds pause, then exhale from your right nostril, pause for few seconds, then inhale from your right nostril, again pause for few seconds, and then exhale from your left nostril. This is one cycle. Simple but very effective. It is called as Nadi Shuddhikaran or Anulom Vilom. It enhances your inhalation of oxygen. It creates a complete disposition of your CO2. So this is the rejuvenation as well as detoxification. It is beautiful. You can do it while empty stomach while you are doing it. And you can do 6 cycles like that.
In one sitting.
In one sitting.
So this leads to also some kind of cognitive control as well. And labeling of emotion, as I said earlier, try to put label to your emotions. Try question yourself. What are you feeling? What is the state of your mind? Are you feeling angry? Question. Talk to yourself. This is one of the key prospect. You must be able to establish a dialogue with the self, and that will lead you to a strong communication with the self, leading to a proper channelization of your emotional energies.
So this breathing technique plus tagging of your emotions gives you mindfulness.
And then we come to the last thing, and that is question answer. May we invite the participants if they pose certain questions. I got a question from Rajesh asking how do we do the stand test. Yes, everybody, those who have not done the stand test, we will be sending you the link on your email. It will be coming through the portal tradefit.com. It is our assessment portal. You'll be able to do the test. So that's it. And don't for most of you must have done it. For those who have not done it, you can definitely write to me. You'll be getting a feedback link tomorrow. You can definitely write to me anytime. For those who have not attended this webinar, we'll be sending a recorded session for them by tomorrow, so that they'll be able to also attend, see what happened. Eventually, due to some compulsions, they must have not been able to attend, but that is will not deter them from seeing the webinar tomorrow. Yes, any questions, please? Yes, there are questions that come up. Yeah, why is there so much of self-resistance to self-accept emotions?
Wow.
Okay, this is from Purva, and I see, yes, there is a resistance. We all have a self-concept. We all have a self-concept that I'm so and so person, I'm such and such person. The first thing that is impediment to change is this, that I don't want to change. And in a classical terms, this is also called as Freudian resistance. We have naturally developed this insight of ourselves that I am so and so person, I'm such and such person. And then someone says you are such a person, that will not be digested well, unless and until you are able to connect to that person, unless and until you have trust and faith on that person, and then gradually the resistance melts down and you'll be able to accept. But the self-resistance is not something, you talk to a child, gradually this grows up. From the childhood until the adulthood, gradually the resistance grows up. Otherwise, the child is very open to things. You say something and maybe it is, yeah. Next question. Hope, Purva, you understand this. Great.
How to improve attitude?
Salvi sir has asked how to improve attitude towards others and work. This is again a very interesting thing, because attitude is one such thing which is not coming from outside, it is coming from within. And anything that is coming from within is 100% is in your control. The only thing that we cannot control is what is outside. Everything, I don't know, like yogis have been manifesting the control over to the minutest part of their body, to the cellular extent. But at least if you look at the attitude, it's a very gross thing as far as you understanding a particular disposition, a viewpoint is considered. So improving an attitude towards your work or others will be determined by your the state of mind which is muddled by certain presuppositions. You presuppose something, you come up with a preoccupied notion of a situation or an idea, you will have this bias coming in towards that particular idea or maybe a particular person. And this typically in psychology is called as confirmation bias or cognitive bias. These cognitive bias are of various types, and then your preoccupied mind will lead you to a particular attitude. With a clean set, with an open mind, you'll develop you'll perceive only and only reality of that person or the situation. And in that context, staying here and now, finding you in a state like I am here, I am now, I don't have to have a frame of reference from the past. Internal frame of reference of yours should be clean as far as you're opening for any new moment, any new meeting, any new client, you definitely will have to plan, and that is dependent on a lot of past things. But while you are in the moment, if your slate is clean, you have a lot of fresh ideas, fresh attitude that you can experience. Hope, Salvi sir, and we are able to
add in something, Vishal.
Yes.
Maybe your attitude towards work is like, I have done a chunk of my part and now I have to go home. I don't have to work more what is not been allocated to me. Or someone is suffering or someone is having some difficulty. Why should I go there and attend to his problems? Now, in these situations, if we understand very important thing, again I am saying human tendency is you maybe knowingly or unknowingly think what is there in it for me. So yes, there is the thing that if you do the work and if you get the satisfaction, if you help others and you get the satisfaction, then two hormones, happy hormones, oxytocin and serotonin, they are poured in your body and they are enhancing your vitality and immunity both ways for long term. So while you are helping or doing a more work or your positive attitude towards your work and others, then you are gaining so much rather than...
Yes. Hope, Salvi sir, we are able to come up to the answer. The next question is from Santosh. He's asking, do we have webinar session for children? Yes, we are looking forward to get along with sessions with children from Middle East. We'll soon be announcing it, and let's say how we can carry it forward. Maybe the team from Clarion will be able to make sure that things are communicated. Vipul Patil sir has asked, what are aftermaths of pandemic on mental well-being? I would say pandemic has really pushed the boundaries of human tolerance to an extent that we have as a society experiencing a wave of resilience. And I'm saying this with a lot of understanding, me myself. The reason being, humanity has never been in a state where history has not seen challenges, mammoth challenges, devastating effects of natural calamities, and maybe diseases have grappled with the world. But still, the will and the grit of human being is such that it has always traversed these difficult times and always sustained. And I don't see that a virus of maybe lovingly we also call this as a the manifestation of because in Hindi it is called Vishanu, and Vishanu we relate it to the V is a state of universal existence. So we may have related it to the naturalistic wrath, but human will and human grit is so much so that we'll always be able to go upon these things. And hence, when I say this, the economic fallout is far major than the I would say the fallout of the disease itself, because disease itself, there are numerous diseases that has been affecting humans, but the lockdown and the situation relating to this economic fallout is really a worrisome thing for humans.
I will just share some experiences. Yes, because of this pandemic, actually, we are physically distant. Actually, we are socially distant. We are emotionally distant. We are not sharing our problems, our love and care. So what is happening that the person is actually going into his own core. He's becoming alone. So aftermath of pandemic is to understand, accept, and be resilient. So if we understand our own mental well-being, then if you help our society's well-being, I think the resilience of a society can help us to overcome that aftermath. Definitely.
Yes. So that is, and we've asked you how to overcome it. Overcoming it, as I said, the challenges relating to this can be overcome by simple exercises. These are not very huge things, but simplicity in the demeanor of practicing these things will always lead to good change. I suppose that the practice of breathing exercise, the practice of having gratefulness, gratitude, the practice of so we would like to conduct this workshop for the encouraging participants relating on EFT, emotional freedom technique. It's an hour-long workshop. Maybe sometime we'll be able to launch it, and maybe there we can talk about this technique.
Yes, sure,
I hope that is, yeah. The next question is by Rajesh, asking like, how do we control our attitude towards negative attitude of others, which is very apparent, but the person opposite thinks it is the correct attitude. So this is one of the fundamental questions that comes up with everybody. I am right, the other person is wrong. And I said this is a problem. This is a problem that society has been facing, and the problem is like self-righteousness. I am right, always I am right. So when one person feels that he's always right, the self-righteousness things, when this has to go, it has to accept the other view. It has to accept the other view. When you face these situations or these people around you of self-righteousness, you eventually will be like, a state of fix, like, he's not able to budge on certain things that he's feeling he's right. He has got a correct attitude. Then you can see it's your strength how you can magnanimously encompass that attitude as well. It needs strength, it needs will, and I suppose when you grow in this stature of this acceptance, you'll find that each and every attitude you'll be able to accept. But the thing is, we ourselves see at par with that person. We see that he's saying this, so I'll also go on saying this. So no, rise above it. Rising above the situation, looking it from above will make you feel that he needs help.
Actually.
He'll need some kind of support. Actually. So you'll be in a state of giving. The more you'll give, I'll tell you a small story here. There is a saint, there was a saint by the name Eknath Maharaj from Maharashtra, a small town called Paitan, which is close to Aurangabad, and 200 kilometers from here, from Pune. And this particular saint used to have every day used to have rituals in the river Godavari. Once fine day, he was coming from bathing and coming out from the river. One person spat on him, to humiliate him, to demean him. This saint went back calmly and had a bath again and came back. This repeated for 21 times. Can you believe this? Now you would say he is a saint, but at that time, I'll tell you, there was no we call him as a saint retrospectively while we look at him with his life entirely past. At that time, he was like a common man to everybody. We all have that capacity to endure, to sustain, and to rise and to come up. That man eventually came down and touched the feet of this person, Sant Eknath.
So what I think is, actually, if the person's negative attitude is harmless, you can just forget and forgive. but it is harmful to that person itself or to the team, then you have to approach him with love and care and ask him to change his attitude. But you need a elder brother's approach, and you have to be very careful using your words to make him aware that how harmful this will be for team. So,
that's it.
that's it.
So we are end of the question answer session as well. I thank on behalf of Brainberg Knowledge Solutions Pune and Clarion Group Oman for all these enthusiastic participants. Okay, one more question has come up. Overconfidence or arrogance is another trait. Can we control this? So yes, it's a thin line from confidence to arrogance, and to getting into a state of losing your confidence. If you know to say something.
Yeah, actually, if it is for ourselves, then it is easy to take care. But but if it is for others, then it's very hard. You have to become a fatherly figure to make the person understand that he is being arrogant, because your words are
okay.
How to change this?
Yes, this is again a prevalent thing. I
Sir,
know.
You can give him the test. Let him give the test and have him the black and white proof that he is arrogant.
So I know everything is a what you can say a state which leads to again a lot of ignorance. See, the ego and ill knowledge or no knowledge are brothers. One begets the other. One grows, other grows. If your ego grows, your ignorance grows. If your ignorance grows, your ego grows, and that they go hand in hand. You'll have to at least address one. At least enlighten yourselves with someone from your closed in circles and everything, so that your ego is pampered and taken down. So the arrogance leads to some kind of things.
What you simplified in your discussion leads me to think that yoga is the way forward.
Absolutely, without any second thought, yoga is the way forward.
But to correct the others, even though you have the yoga power in you, it is very difficult to change the others. You have to actually go them and request them to leave their arrogance aside, because there is no other way.
So yoga, I would say one thing, sir. Yoga has been one of the talking points across the globe, and it has been into a lot of studies and practice, and a lot of organizations has been pondering it. I would say this is one of the personal thing that everybody must carry with himself, and it is the communion of self, the union of oneself with oneself. So that aspect, if taken into consideration, it's very personal. It's very self-uplifting, and it leads to fulfillment. If this is taken into consideration, whether physical form of exercises or the first dictum of what Patanjali has posted in his, given in his text, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, like, your vritti is coming into your chitta. Chitta is your consciousness. If you are able to regulate them, if you will channelize them, most of your part is taken care. And then in that context, yoga is very
for particularly treatment of arrogance, in every dharma, it is called as you should donate. It is called as Satpatridan, but don't give to the wrong person. The person should donate to someone or do some seva. In Sikh dharma, it is very beautifully called as Kar Seva. They just go and in the Gurudwara, and they actually take footwears from others and put it properly in there, or they cook for others. So this Kar Seva is a treatment of arrogance or ahankara.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope, sir, we are able to get along, and it's a good discussion. We'll be taking it further, when we meet or when we talk on phone or something like that. So great to have you all. Thank you for being with us.
It was a beautiful journey.
And it was a beautiful journey, really. Let's meet up sometime. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.